101 ESPN now presents What I Learned with Randy Karraker.
I'm Randy Karraker, and here's what I learned about the Rams in Week 3 of the NFL season. Number one, they're still trying to overcome the bad habits that were learned under Scott Linehan. A couple of penalties from Adam Goldberg helped kill drives. A fumble by Steven Jackson, a fumble by Mark Bulger, and a couple of other penalties by last year's rookies David Vobora and Chris Chamberlain. I don't put as much of those on Linehan, but the veterans that played here for 3 years under Scott Linehan, 2.5, they're still making drastic mistakes. It's hurting the team, and Steve Spagnuolo has a lot of work to do in undoing those bad habits that were learned under Linehan. That brings me to number two. We mentioned Goldberg's penalties. It was stupid of the Rams to ever not have Jason Smith in their starting lineup. He could have been learning, starting, playing more reps during the course of training camp and preseason games. He didn't. Why they didn't start him off earlier, playing in games, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, if you have a young guy that's going to make mistakes, he's going to learn from them. If you have an old guy that makes mistakes, he makes them again and again. It just happens. So what the Rams should have done early on is played Jason Smith wherever they were going to play him. Now, when he comes back, just play him at left tackle. It just makes sense on the part of the Rams to play him at the position they drafted him to play. Number three, Steven Jackson does need the ball a lot. 32 touches. He averaged 5.1 yards per touch, including more than 9 per his 5 receptions. Get the ball into Steven Jackson's hands as many times as possible. If you get it into his hands 30 times, despite the fumble that he had that hurt, you will have an opportunity to win. You'll keep the ball out of the hands of the opposition. Your defense won't get worn down, and Steven will get into a rhythm. He has before, he can do it again, but just get him the ball. And finally, this is a reasonably tough football team. I know they lost by a score of 36-17, but they were in the game in the third quarter, only down 23-17. Some big plays hurt them. But this team has been in its own red zone a half dozen times over the course of the last 2 weeks. Actually 7 times, and they have not allowed a touchdown in those red zone trips. Now, they did allow one against Green Bay on Sunday, but for 7 consecutive trips into the red zone, the opposition did not score. The defense has a level of mental toughness. The offense needs to develop that level of mental toughness, but it's getting there. Keep the faith. Spagnuolo is the guy for the job. He will get the job done, and the Rams eventually will win. Just might not happen on a big-time level this year because they don't have enough talent. I'm Randy Karraker, and that's what I learned about the Rams in Week 3 of the NFL season.